right, welcome in, wrestling family. This is Jade, TikTok's infamous opinionist. Welcome to our Sunday tradition, Wrestling with My Thoughts. We're live on the Raw Sports Network, on Facebook and YouTube, also on my personal Facebook and YouTube pages. And I'm joined today, as you might see here to my, which way am I pointing? This way. This camera makes me go past backwards. It's so fucking over here on this side, we got a special guest host today, Axelguzman107 from TikTok, Wrestling Goat. Sir, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. How about you, man?
I'm hanging in there, buddy. It's a long, lazy fucking Sunday afternoon.
Yes, it is.
But I got my pick-me-up. I got my fans. We're coming in. We are live on TikTok for the first 10 minutes of the podcast. I'm going to say this one more time. If you want to watch the whole show, go to my link tree in my bio on TikTok, like on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. We're live on both of those channels there now. If you want to watch the entire show, chat is open. If you have questions to put in chat that Axel and I can try and answer throughout the show, feel free to put those in chat, and we'll get to those as quickly as we can. Okay? So ask you a few questions about yourself, because obviously our fan bases and our viewers may intersect a little bit. But for those that don't intersect, what got you into wrestling, and when did you start TikTok?
What got me into wrestling? I was born into a wrestling family. My grandfather and uncle watched back in the Hogan eras. And my first early memory was when Triple H returned back in 2000 on Raw. And then ever since then, I just got hooked on it. It was just something I got to watch every day after I got my homework done on Mondays and them long nights on Sundays, having to stay up, try not to fall asleep. It was just what they did, the high flying, the technical wrestling. Because I came in, I want to say late Attitude Era, but definitely the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression. So all the meat muscle, all the high flying, all that stuff that was that's what I was into back then. Yeah.
I was an avid WCW viewer during the Monday Night Wars. I got really pissed when WCW got bought out, and I actually stopped watching wrestling until towards the end of the Ruthless Aggression era, and that's when I got back into it. And then obviously in, the last 15 years or so, I've gone back and I've watched basically every amount of content from the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression era that I can.
Of course.
So what brought you on to the TikTok, the wrestling talk community?
Well, what brought me into TikTok, I'm pretty sure almost everybody has the same thing, was COVID, everybody being quarantined. I didn't start off with wrestling because when I was into wrestling, nobody else was watching it, supposedly. So I was the nerd. I was the loser. I watched grown men wrestle each other. So I didn't start off the TikTok with that. What actually started it was I was playing 2K20 and all the glitches they have. So I'm like, oh, let me just put a video on and see what happens. That was the first video I ever went viral. And then came the Fiend and Randy Orton storyline.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing this man get set on fire, I was like, I have to get back into it because they caught my eye. Because during the pandemic, I lost interest only because the fans were not in attendance. It didn't feel the same anymore. But after I watched that match, I was like, it seems like something's changing. I mean, somewhat. It's still almost the same, but that's what really got me back into it. Seeing Narcolepsy and Lou Nonsense, creators like that too.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it was I didn't join until this past January, and I really only downloaded TikTok because I started seeing all the news articles and stuff saying that, TikTok was going to go away, that Trump was going to disband TikTok and all that shit. So I was like, I've never really given TikTok a chance. As far as I knew from Facebook ads, it was all furries and weirdos and stuff. So I didn't think I'd be interested in it. But like you, I jumped on and saw some wrestling stuff, and then I started seeing Lou Nonsense and yourself and Narcolepsy and the Heel Click and all those guys. And I was like, hey, this is a cool part of TikTok that I could get into. And then I just started thinking about, I got all kinds of opinions on wrestling that I know a lot of people don't agree with, but I believe in wholeheartedly. So I posted a collection of those, and then the rest is history. And we've been downhill since then. So, all right. Well, it's good to have you, Axel. One more time I got a couple people asking in chat. If you want to watch the whole show, go to my link tree in my bio, like on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. You'll be able to watch the whole show. We'll be live here on TikTok for the next 5 minutes. Okay. And so let's get rolling because I got several things I want to discuss with you here today. Number one, and this came from a conversation that you and I had in TikTok or Facebook chat a few days back. is the AEW Impact partnership. I put in big fucking quotes. Here's my thing,
Yep.
and then you can give me your whole belief, and whether or not you agree or disagree, and then we can go back and forth about it. People are so fixated on the short term with this thing. And so I've got all these people telling me on TikTok and Facebook, hey man, this thing's working, man. Have you seen AEW's ratings? Have you seen Impact's ratings? Have you seen Impact's buy rates? Kenny Omega's on Impact every single week. How can you say this is bad for Impact? It is great for Impact, like right now. In this bubble right here, it is great for Impact. Guess what's going to happen the minute that these COVID regulations get lifted, which is looking like it's going to happen sooner rather than later, whether that's for the best or not, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
And AEW starts touring again, and Kenny Omega isn't gridlocked in the state of Florida anymore. Do you really think Kenny Omega is going to travel between his already hectic AEW schedule and travel back to Orlando to go to Impact every week?
Definitely not.
No. And all of these fans that he's bringing into Impact, that's fan-fucking-tastic. Guess what's going to happen when Kenny Omega packs his bags and gets the fuck out? All those fans are going to go with him. All these ratings and all these increased buy rates and stuff are fantastic for Impact. The fact of the matter is, Impact looks like the shitty little brother trying to stay the night with the big brother, and the big brother is just pelting him with pillows. AEW is making Impact look like shit, running their ads on Impact every week. They're world champion. The first time anyone from another company comes in, he loses.
Yep.
Impact doesn't get to send any of their stars over to AEW except for the Good Brothers, and that's only because the Good Brothers have a friendship with Kenny Omega. You have not seen any other AEW star, or excuse me, Impact stars on AEW. Meanwhile, on Impact, you've got Kenny Omega, and you got Private Party, and you got the Young Bucks, and you got Don Callis, and the list just goes on and on and on. So Impact right now, sure, is getting a surplus in ratings, but eventually when things get back to relative normalcy, that door that swung wide open after AEW gets all of the exposure they want on Impact, that door is going to slowly swing back shut. And so I think people need to stop looking at the now, and they need to expand their thinking a little bit and see what happens when all of this shuts down. So what say you?
Well, even with the now, like you said, the only people we've seen from TNA Impact was the Good Brothers. That's it. Ever since the merger happened, I unless I'm mistaken, I haven't seen any other wrestlers. And like you said, that's mainly because of Kenny. He's on their show almost every week, laughing it up, chopping it up, and then that's the only thing they benefit from it. Because even if that's what draws the people to your program, after he's gone, they're not going to stay for it. Your roster's not really that, it's okay for what it's worth. But like you said, they're the little brother right now. I haven't seen them benefit at all.
No, I would like to see some of these people that they're trying to push on Impact given some time on AEW. Hell, even if it's just AEW Dark, like put Black Toros or whatever they're calling him on there. Put Cordona and Myers and let them have a match on AEW Dark, or somebody from their X division can kick off AEW one week and have an X division championship on AEW.
Yep.
It's as simple as that, really. There's no balance here. This isn't a partnership. This is a heavy-handed situation where AEW is reaping all of the benefits, and Impact is people think just because of Impact's history, which, to be honest, is a fairly negative history with Dixie Carter and Jeff Jarrett and sniping, old WWF talent and all that stuff they did several years ago. Impact, by way of TNA, has a lot to make up for. I think it would have went a long way, and this is another topic altogether, and feel free to respond to this. I think it would have gone a long way for Impact if they would have dropped the Impact name altogether. If they were going to get rid of the TNA name, I think they should have gotten rid of the Impact name. I think that would have gone a long way to distance people's thoughts from the negativity from the Carter era of TNA. Do you think that would have helped them at all? Do you think people would find them more credible if they would have done that?
Yes. And I thought for a moment, I thought they did until I noticed, no, wait, one of their world titles is the TNA, the other one is Impact. They have to just drop it. And then you think, okay, maybe after Kenny won it, they would drop the title. But no, he's still holding that. So it's still there. We're always going to remember, like you said, the bat, what it was back in the day until you drop that name completely.
Yeah. At this point, guys, before we go any further, I'm going to stop my TikTok live. We're 10 minutes in. If you want to continue to watch the show, Linktree in my bio, Facebook or YouTube, join us there. Have a good day, guys. And now, okay. Think we're alone now. All right. Couple of questions in chat that we'll look to before we move on. Let's see. D's Nuts is in chat. He says thoughts on SmackDown. We're not really going to be talking about SmackDown a whole lot on this episode, so we can go ahead and give some brief thoughts here. Everything involving Roman Reigns and Edge on SmackDown last week, wrap that up, put a bow on it, stick my name on it, send it to my front door. Give me all of that. That was excellent. Everything about it. I don't care that I was wrong with my Daniel Bryan guess. I don't care that I was wrong that the booking would have made more sense for Daniel Bryan to win because the way that they did it was so fucking cool. Roman winning clean. Roman looking like a smart heel by switching his arms on the fucking guillotine.
Yes.
Roman's music, I think, is epic. So I love the Dirty Dogs. I love Bayley. I love Sasha. I love Bianca Belair. There is a lot to love about SmackDown right now, as opposed to Raw, which we're going to get to Raw in just a few minutes. So, Axel, where are you at on SmackDown?
SmackDown has always been my favorite between the two brands, and as of right now, they're the top dog. They've always been considered the B show, but right now, like we're going to talk about, Raw is the B show. Roman is the top. He's a better champion than Bobby is at the moment. Even though Apollo's gimmick is some people like it, some people don't. He's a better champion than what Sheamus is doing with whatever they're doing with that title. The Dirty Dogs, they're not in the picture as much, but we haven't seen the Raw tag team champions.
3 weeks.
So it's SmackDown's the top dog right now.
Yeah, SmackDown's the A show for real. Ryan Spitz on the subject of AEW and Impact says, do you think AEW is trying to be like WWE when they bought WCW? I've heard this rumor that eventually this is going to lead to a point where either in storyline or as a shoot, AEW is going to buy Impact. Again, it doesn't make any sense the way that they booked Impact for AEW to want to buy Impact, because everything they've done has made AEW make Impact look like it sucks. So why would a businessman like Tony Khan in a shoot situation look at Impact and say, oh, yeah, that's something I want, when they've done nothing but dump on it? So, I mean, Axel, what do you think of that rumor?
I don't think it's anywhere near close. Like you said, it's really nothing to watch right now. Thursdays is kind of the free day. Unless you want to watch wrestling, it's there for you. But I don't see them benefiting anything. I mean, you can say it as an AEW superstar. So, yeah. But I don't see, as far as the rumors go, I don't see it happening.
Yeah. I don't think so either. I mean, if it does, then I guess what I'm hoping it eventually leads to is that, and maybe I'm giving AEW and Impact too much credit as far as storytelling ability, is that eventually somebody at AEW just decides, you know what, we're tired as fuck of being picked on. Let's go and kick AEW's doors in and show them that we're more than just a little brother. And maybe if that happens, like you have this big thing where Kenny Omega, defends his title in the main event or something of Impact or of AEW Dynamite. And then as they're ending the show, suddenly Impact superstars run down the ramp and start laying the bricks on Kenny Omega. If that's where it goes, then awesome. I just don't have any faith that that's where it's going.
No, not at all.
And then last point here before we move on, Crazy Uso says, Raw is hot garbage. SmackDown is way more entertaining. They got the better world, mid-title, women's, and tag champs on either brand.
Yep.
That's really all you got to say there. And then Amanda Breeze is my number one fan. I always like to give her a shout. Says she loves both our content. Thank you so much, Amanda.
Thank you so much, Amanda.
All right, so now that we've talked about how good SmackDown is, let's talk about how absolute garbage Raw has been. There is just something about Raw. It is very hard to explain, and there are mistakes that they're making in the booking on Raw, which we'll get into in a minute. But before we get into that, the specifics, and I just want to know if you feel this too, Axel. there's just something about watching Raw that just doesn't click with me. Like I get really excited to watch AEW. I get really excited to watch NXT. I get excited to watch SmackDown. It's like I come home and I'm like, oh yeah, shoot, yeah, it's fucking wrestling now. When I come home on Tuesdays and I watch Raw on delay because I watch the 90-minute Hulu version, because fuck you if you think I'm watching 3 hours of that nonsense. When I sit down to watch Raw on Hulu on Tuesday afternoons, it's more like, well, I guess I got to know what's going on so I can make videos about it. And that shouldn't be how I feel, but it is. And again, we'll get into the specifics in a minute. But Axel, do you feel the same way? Does watching Raw feel like a chore right now for you?
Yes, it does. I will be 100% honest. If it wasn't for the videos that I post from Raw for TikTok, I would not be watching Raw at all. I sadly sit down for the 3 hours because sometimes if I catch something, the video will go viral. And there's some people who follow us. I don't know if you know, they get Raw. I think it's maybe a week later or 2-3 days later. So they watch our content. So, I do it for them too, but yeah, it's a chore.
Yeah.
It's trying to stay up. And the reason we're so excited about SmackDown, they stay to their certain storylines more than Raw does. We don't know what's going to happen any Raw. Don't get me wrong. I love RK Bro, but where did that come from?
Yeah.
So the Fiend storyline ended at WrestleMania. That was it.
Yep.
But there's no follow-up. It's fine, but there's no Raw Tag Team Champions. They did an interview. They said they were supposedly in Nigeria celebrating, but you don't speak about them at all.
Thanks for telling us that on Raw, by the way.
Not once. Everybody's like, oh, family time, this and that. Can you at least say their names? And then everything else. Sometimes Bobby's on Raw. Sometimes he's not. He doesn't even speak. He hasn't had a match. It's just a cluster. I mean, it's bad with a show that's 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. The AJ and Omos situation, you could be building heat this whole time by having AJ cut promos on the beach and say, you know what? We did a lot at WrestleMania. Omos and I decided to take some time off. We could be on Raw, but we've decided we'd rather be here on the beach. Like, you could be building heat on TV with AJ and Omos right now, and you're not. That's just one in a laundry list of problems. Some of the big problems facing Raw, and they've been facing Raw for a long time. And look, I think the most disappointing part of all of this is that typically there is this gap where all of the wrestling is good right before Mania and right after Mania. There's this gap where everything is good. And with SmackDown, I think they kind of still did that, even though the SmackDown after Mania for COVID reasons wasn't big.
Yeah.
But with Raw, it just feels like the lead up to Mania and everything after Mania so far has just been so fucking deflating because it's so far below the quality that we're used to at this time of year. So I think it feels worse than it actually is because we're so disappointed that it's not where it should be right now.
And I understand COVID regulations, but even the Raw after Mania, it really was nothing to be excited about.
Right.
Some of the champions weren't even there.
Yeah, and it's not just the Raw after Mania. Let's talk about some of the specific problems that Raw is facing right now. And it feels like, and I know that it's technically true, but they all work in the same goddamn building right now, which makes it even crazier. You can really, really tell that two different writing teams are writing and booking Raw and SmackDown.
Yep.
They feel like two completely different companies, which is asinine, again, because they're probably working 10 feet apart in one building right now. So why does everything feel so different? Why do stories not get capped on Raw? Why did Randy Orton hit one RKO and then was able just to walk away from the Fiend? Why did Alexa spend 3 months trying to bring the Fiend back and then turn on him right away? Why did Randy Orton decide overnight that he was done being an asshole and going after the world title? And then with no discernible reason for this to happen outside of having a little bit of respect for Matt Riddle, now he wants to be a goofy babyface and hang around with Matt Riddle. And again, I love RK Bro too, but from a booking perspective, it makes no sense. Why does Humberto Carrillo get locked in the locker room for 6 months and then get to come out and drop kick Sheamus in the middle of the ring on the episode of Raw? Why were Shelton and Cedric the most dominant tag team for 6 months on Raw, and then just because they don't have Bobby Lashley in their corner, suddenly they're jobbers going out there and jobbing out to the Viking Raiders and RK Bro in back-to-back weeks?
Yep.
There is no consistency with SmackDown. Week over week over week, you can think about what happened last week and be excited about what's coming this week. Rather, that's the revelations in the tag team division between the Mysterios and the Dirty Dogs and the Street Profits. Bianca Belair has a promo every week. Yep. Roman and Daniel Bryan start and end each show. You know Cesaro's going to be in there somewhere, and you can say, oh, man, after last week, I'm ready for the. You sit down and watch Raw, and you're like, what the fuck even happened last week?
And they have 2 hours.
Yep.
And if you watch SmackDown, sometimes they even have to squeeze segments together. We'll have a segment between Cesaro and Seth Rollins. Cesaro will beat up Seth Rollins for a little bit. As he's walking out, here comes Bianca Belair. They have such a smaller time, but they still make it. They still make it work. You'll have a promo in the back, and then next thing you know, 2 seconds later, it's the match. Sometimes they don't even have time to start SmackDown with a promo. They start with matches now. And they still are able to be more successful than Raw. I don't get it.
Yeah. One of the big problems, I think, is that I think the talent needs a major mix around on Raw or SmackDown. Because you think about some of the super energetic guys that they have on SmackDown that keep the show rolling. Daniel Bryan, the Street Profits, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, Bianca Belair, Bayley, who all of them are always like up, and they're always super energetic, and they're always, hey, give your attention here. And then on Raw, the top of the card is really stacked with guys that are more about the image they project as far as their size. Drew, Braun, Bobby, AJ with Omos. And it's and then you've got the guys that are more about they get all this respect just because they've been there for a long time, like Randy Orton. Yep. And there's no energy. Like there's no kinetic energy with SmackDown. When I watch it, it's like, and again, I sound like a total mark when I say this, but when I watch SmackDown, I can feel this constant kinetic energy between me and the screen, and I'm watching and I can't turn my eyes away. And it's like with Raw, I'm sitting there and I'm trying to connect. And I love Drew McIntyre and I love Bobby. And on days that I wake up in a good mood, I love Braun Strowman and I love Matt Riddle. But there's just something about the way they're doing it that doesn't grab me. So that being said, instead of just being complainers, Axel, well, if Vince were to drag you into the locker room and say, "Hey, you're our savior. We need you to fix this, damn it." What are the first few things you would do to clean house?
Whew. First thing for Raw, we need to fix that tag team division. There's nothing. So with that, you can also argue, well, then that's why the Raw tag team champions aren't there. There's no. Okay, so let's work on that. Who is it? The New Day?
Yep.
And who else?
You got Cedric and Shelton, who have been made to look like goobers the last 3 weeks. You got the Viking Raiders, who have been back for 1 week. We'll see what happens with them. And that's basically it. And
that's it. So that needs to work. I love Rhea. I really do. But the women's division on Raw needs a shakeup. That's another thing. You cannot sit here and tell me that Becky's going to return and that's going to save everything. It's not.
No.
We need a shakeup in that. And the storylines have to make sense. They have to. And they need the end making sense. Because even with the Alexa Bliss and the Fiend hasn't been on TV in 2 weeks. So what's going on with that? So we forget about that. And now supposedly Alexa's going to hunt the women's division. Where my brain is scattering with everything. And like you said, with SmackDown, I'm glued to my seat. But on Raw, I could go grab a snack. Yeah. I can go do something else. I can listen. If anything happens, I can hear it. But it doesn't keep me glued.
Yeah. Amanda Bree says, I've fallen asleep watching Raw lately. I get close to it. And that's sad. With the women's division point, I want to point out, I don't necessarily think that you need to bring in anybody from the women's division. you look at the talent that Raw has on their women's division, and there's two specific women that could shake up the division that are locked in dumbass tag team stories right now. Naomi and Shayna Baszler. Just take the cuffs off of Naomi and Shayna Baszler and let them start doing cool shit. And I promise you, Raw will instantly get a lot better. I don't want to see Asuka versus Charlotte anymore. I don't need to see Asuka versus Rhea anymore. Pat, I understand doing it at Backlash because it's WrestleMania back. After that, I need to see something different. And then the biggest thing with Raw that I would change is just, I don't know if it's Vince. I don't know if there's too many people stirring the pot with the writing team. There has got to be some consistency. Yeah. I have to know that what happens this week is going to matter next week. With SmackDown, I have that every week, and with Raw, I just don't have it. It feels like a different team is writing Raw every single week, and it's so frustrating.
And speaking on booking and storytelling, where is this RK Bro going to go? Is this going to be the typical Randy's on the... Is this going to be another Y2 AJ? You're going to sell the RK Bro shirts, everybody's going to buy them, then the next week he's going to RKO him, and that's that.
Yeah.
Come on, we need to... Something. I don't know if you heard, but supposedly Jason Jordan is now working with Raw and SmackDown.
I did see that.
So hopefully that helps out the tag team division a lot and more storytelling, but we'll have to find out and see, because without the garbage bag situation, we wouldn't even be here right now. Yep.
With RK Bro, I think the only way that could possibly... I hope they win a tag team title or two. I hope that it doesn't just break up before they get to that point, because otherwise we're back to the same old shit with, okay, well, what the fuck was the point and why did we do this? Which is another thing that WWE struggles with. Even on SmackDown, SmackDown's been guilty of it before too. Carmella changed her whole look, changed her whole demeanor, changed her whole personality. What the fuck was it for? She didn't do anything. So
she's not doing nothing now.
No. All she did was not only did she not win a championship, she lost her fucking sommelier or whatever the fuck.
Reginald.
And eventually we're going to get a Reginald on a pole match between Nia and Carmella, and it's going to be the funniest thing I've ever seen.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Let's check out the comments here a little bit more before we move on. Crazy Uso says, which one guy do you want to push to the moon for each brand? He says a healthy Keith Lee and Aleister Black. I honestly can't disagree with those two. Ricochet is another that I'd be interested in seeing a big push for. Chad Gable, without the fucking Shorty G shit, would be good to see a big push for. What do you think, Axel?
Definitely with him with the Keith Lee situation. I'm still till this day waiting to see why he hasn't been on TV. I'm waiting for him to address that. Hopefully when he comes back, he can get to where he was supposed to be, because there was rumors that he was supposed to win the United States Championship.
Yeah.
And I have to agree with Aleister Black, because if somebody's making a comeback and you're making this amazing storyline, he's looking like he has this new character, but it's still dark. Please make it something. I could see him with the Intercontinental Championship in the future. Yeah.
Yep, me too. Couple people agree with us. Adam O'Boss says that extra hour of Raw is just why. John Wilmer says literally gave watching Raw. I can't make it past. Give up watching Raw, I guess is what he means. I can't make it past the first hour. These Nuts says Raw is so unwatchable and is not what it used to be. Both true. Crazy Uso gets a little bit more extreme. Says it feels like an episode of WWE Main Event with a few stars.
Oh man.
Here's another. Nick TV says Raw shouldn't be. Oh, that's Nick. Hey Nick. Shouldn't be an extra hour. I absolutely agree. I think it needs to go down to 2.
Yep.
Let's see. Johnny, what do you think about WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns versus Goldberg? I will shoot myself if they do Roman versus Goldberg. Oh my goodness.
He has to be from TikTok. He has to be the same one who acted on TikTok.
I will pay money for that not to happen. I'll take Roman Reigns versus The Rock. I'll take Roman Reigns versus Big E. Roman Reigns versus Cesaro. Roman Reigns versus the Gobbledygooker. I do not want Goldberg.
What's scary is he has one match left on his contract for this year.
Oh, good grief.
Because supposedly the Goldberg and Drew rivalry was supposed to last a little bit longer, but they hit the brakes on that. Booking also, like we talked about, for Raw is terrible.
Yeah.
But he still has one match on his contract, so I'm pretty terrified about that.
Another rumored super match that might be happening at SummerSlam. Nick says Brock versus Bobby. I could definitely see that happening. I think that's a really easy one to book, where Bobby just dominates the roster for the next 2 months. On an episode of Raw, he says there's nobody on this roster that can take me down, and then you get the bump, and then and then we set up Brock versus Bobby. Is that something you'd like to see, X?
It's right neck and neck with, like, even though we've seen it a lot of times, it's right there with Roman versus Brock storyline wise.
Yeah,
we get to see, because obviously Paul Heyman's going to be with Brock, so we get to see Paul Heyman on Raw and SmackDown. He's done it before,
right?
And it's just something I would love to see. The story's there. Ruthless aggression, wrestlers finally for the title. I just hope they don't make Brock just bury this man.
Yep. Let's see. Smithception says, I'm here. Hey, Smithception. How are you, sir?
What's up, bro?
Let's see. And I think at this point, here's another comment from Smith. Says, I can count on one hand how many Raws and SmackDowns I've seen in the past 6 months. I get your point, Smith. I really do. Again, SmackDown I'm a little bit more comfortable with the way the booking has gone. But Raw, both of us are with you. Both of us are with you. Ryan Spitz, just a kind comment here from Ryan. I appreciate both of you. You guys are awesome. Thanks a lot, Ryan.
Appreciate you, Ryan.
Yeah, you're loved and appreciated, man. Let's see. What do we think about Roman's new theme? I think we both think that it slaps, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, in my Facebook Messenger group, somebody said, like, why is this match starting so early? And one of them said, maybe Roman new theme. So I got my phone out real quick. Next thing you know, the new theme. I've been waiting for this since they reported it in January.
Yeah. And
finally, no more. There's a sample of the Shield in it, but no more Shield. Finally, his own theme song.
Yeah. Yep. It's been due since he came back at SummerSlam.
Definitely.
Yep. And then finally, last comment before we move on, Smith also says, I would love Brock versus Bobby if Bobby goes over. I'm actually with you on that, Smith.
Yep. See? If Brock just buries him, it would just kill everything.
Yep. Bobby indeed needs to go over. All right. And then finally, one more nice comment. Crazy Uso said we're both tier ones for wrestling TikTok. Thanks, Uso.
Crazy Uso.
Appreciate you, man. All right, so me and Axel are going to do something a little bit fun, and you can keep the questions coming in the comments. We'll get to as many of them as we can. We're going to spend the rest of the time that we have here, and Axel, I don't know if we talked about it. I usually go about an hour. If we go a little bit over, it's fine. We're going to spend the rest of our time, and Axel's done this a couple of times on his own show, Wrestling Chop Shop. Go check him out on YouTube. He's done a couple of drafts over on his podcast channel, and he's invited me to be a part. I just haven't been able to do that. This is something I've been wanting to do on my show even before I met up with Axel and finally found someone who I think could do it and make it entertaining. So what I would like to do, Axel, is I would like for us to just put ourselves in a fantasy realm where a law has passed that every wrestler in AEW and WWE has to wrestle under the same banner on two different brands. Everybody from both shows is in one big draft pool, right? And so we're just gonna start drafting these guys for each of our shows, and just kind of see what kind of show we might end up with. And obviously, comments, give your opinions as we go, and we'll use that for feedback as well. And then I'll post a TikTok when this is all said and done. And you guys will be able to vote on who you guys think has the better roster once it goes up on TikTok. So, Axel, as the guest, I release first pick to you.
Oh, man.
The entirety of both rosters. Who would be your first overall pick?
The pressure. If we're talking right now.
Yep, active right now. That's the only rule. Part-time or full-time, active right now.
Gotta go with Roman Reigns. Got to.
Nice pick. I said on a TikTok a couple of months ago now that if I was picking one man and one woman to start a company with, and I said who that would be, and my mind hasn't changed based on his work over the past couple of months. I think the man can do anything. I think he can play any kind of character. I think he can draw super heat or draw super cheers. And every match he has is possible a match of the year candidate. So if I was picking anybody, I would have to pick Seth Rollins.
Ooh.
Number one. Might get a lot of heat for that. I think we both might get a lot of heat for that, but I think my first pick would be Seth Rollins.
If you're watching wrestling right now, you would understand why those were the first two picks. If you're really paying attention to the product.
Yep.
My next pick is going to have to be somebody who's, if you want to say carrying two companies on his back right now. He's the champion for both of the brands. I'm going to have to go with Kenny Omega. Kind of sucks I can't have my dream match, though. You took Seth.
Right. So yeah, for my second pick overall, I think I'm gonna have to go with MJF.
Ooh.
So just the super heel, just the consummate entertainer and performer. He's still a little bit green in the ring, but he's only what 22, 23.
Mic skills are right there on the top.
Yeah, he already cuts promos like he's been doing this shit for 30 years. So he's got plenty of time to let his ring work catch up with his promo work. So I think it's interesting. We both picked a WWE guy first, and then now we've gone to the AEW pool for our second pick.
Got to. All right.
Yep.
Let's see. My next pick, gonna have to go with somebody who's, even though their booking is pretty iffy right now, I'm gonna have to go with Bobby Lashley.
That's an interesting pick. Why Lashley so early? Because I wouldn't have thought to go Lashley so early.
It's just I can't risk you taking him because I already got the match that a lot of people would want to see. But what he's doing right now, it's not really his fault why he's being booked the way he is. Because at the beginning he was dominant up until the ransom. Yeah,
for sure. I think my third pick has to be I'm going to go into the women's division for my third pick. It's someone that if this was real, I would want to make absolutely certain I got this person based on their recent work. And I think it's the only woman, in my opinion, at least in WWE women's wrestling, that every time they have a match, you know that the match is going to have a good build up and the match itself is going to be good. So my third overall pick is going to be Bayley.
Oh,
I would definitely want Bayley on my roster over any other woman. I think in that video I posted, I said Deonna Purrazzo in the video that I posted, but Bayley's work through the winter and the spring has just been excellent. So yeah,
for what she's been given, she's definitely been doing what she can, and she is definitely, out of all four horsewomen, she is the most underrated.
Yep, for sure.
Carried NXT on her back for a while, so a lot of people.
And now I personally think that even all the way up to Bianca Belair, now we give Bianca a chance to see what she can do. I think she carried SmackDown on her back for a long time.
Yes.
So
women. So since you went women, I'm gonna go with we're doing tag teams as well.
Yeah, we can have as long as they're a legitimate tag team. I would say they can count as one pick.
Okay. So with my next pick, I'm going tag team, and I'm going to take the Young Bucks.
Okay, that probably would have been my first tag team pick as well. So it's good that you sniped them. But to me, I have an easy follow up to that. Like if you're going to take the Young Bucks, I have an easy follow up that I'm just as happy, or would be just as happy to have on my roster. So I'm going to take the Street Profits as my next pick.
I respect that
because I think they're great right now. I think they're one of the best tag teams in the world right now. And eventually the tag team can split, and I think Montez Ford can be a star all on his own.
I believe that as well.
Yep. So that's my fourth pick.
So with my next pick, I'm going to go women, and I'm going to take Sasha Banks. Gotta have Sasha.
Yeah. Common sense pick there. That would have been one of my next women's picks after Bayley. Boy, in the moment, this is a lot harder than it sounds like. I'm going to go back to AEW, I'm going to go, again, just somebody else who, as young as he is already doing the things that he's doing now and improves every time that he's out there. I'll go with Hangman Page, number 5.
All right. Hangman Page, that's not a bad pick.
Yeah. The story where he struggled with his drinking and ended up with the Dark Order after the Elite abandoned him. That's one of the best stories that was ever told, as far as I'm concerned.
All right. So for my next pick, I'm gonna have to go in the AEW pool. I'm gonna take somebody who really grabs my attention, his character. I'm gonna have to take Darby Allin.
Yeah, Darby Allin. We get all that out of the ring stuff sorted out. He's going to be really good eventually. So I'm going to go with another tag team, but I'm taking another tag team this early because I think both of these guys are still more than capable of being solid single stars eventually. So obviously the team would eventually get broken up. So I'm going to go with the current SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Ziggler and Rude. I mean, make fun of me if you want in chat. Ziggler's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. He's my personal favorite wrestler of all time. So I was always going to draft him anyway, but now that he's in an official tag team, the Dirty Dogs, which I also love, I'd have a great tag team right now and then 2 great single stars after that when I get tired of the tag team. So
the Dolph Ziggler hate is not needed in this video right about now. I don't understand why people cannot respect this man. I'll never understand it.
Yeah, I can talk about that for days.
Super underrated, especially from where he came from. You guys got the Spirit Squad. Come on, y'all. Come on.
And what was he before that? He was Chavo's caddy.
Yep.
Oh,
come on.
Yeah.
Give him his props.
And he leaves his fucking soul on the mat every time he goes out there. Like, say what you want about him, whether or not you think he can wrestle. Or Smith says he never cared for Dolph, which is perfectly fine. If that's your opinion, I completely respect that. But that dude leaves his fucking heart and soul on the mat every time he goes out there. And I don't think there's anyone else you can say that except for maybe Daniel Bryan in WWE. So, yeah, that's my pick.
So with my next pick, I'm going to go back to WWE. I'm going to have to go with an obvious top pick. I'm going to have to go with Drew McIntyre.
Drew grew on me. I wasn't sure about him when he started getting his singles push beginning of 2020. But I think the way in which he carried himself at the top of the company through the quiet era, as I call it, into the Thunderdome era, I don't think WWE gets through the Performance Center era without Drew at the head of the company. So that's a good pick. All right. So for me, I haven't drafted anyone from Raw yet. So let's go to Monday Night Raw. And I am going to avoid the tag team draft. So I'm going to split up this tag team in the draft. And I'm going to go ahead and take the phenomenal AJ Styles with my next pick. I don't think I have to defend picking AJ Styles to anyone in this chat. So
I wouldn't think so. Let's see. With my next pick, I'm going to have to go women again. We got one on the board. I got to take Bianca.
I was going to go women next, and it was down between Bianca and one other one. So I was hoping that, okay, we're good. Smith says when he thinks of promising young talent, his mind immediately goes to Ricky Starks. That I don't disagree. I think Starks needs to get away from Team Taz. But yeah, I agree.
I don't know whether it's still going, but
I am going women for my next pick as well. And again, if you had chosen this person, I would have chosen Bianca Belair. But since you chose Bianca, I'm going to go with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
Respect it.
Because Bayley versus Britt Baker is just something that I'd pay all my money for.
So with my next pick, I'm going to stay in the women category, but I'm jumping to AEW. Need some star power. Need somebody who's going to get it done in the ring. I'm taking Thunder Rosa.
Very nice pick there. I'm going to go tag team again. Getting my tag teams in early. This just shows how many great tag teams there are across both companies right now. And there are good tag teams in Impact as well. There's just WWE really just needs to learn their lesson. And they can learn from AEW and how they book this team. So I'm gonna take FTR. That damn team. I'm gonna take FTR.
I think I should go with an obvious pick for my next. I'm going to just go ahead and take Randy Orton.
Solid pick. Solid choice. He can work with just about anybody. Speaking of a solid pick that can work with just about anybody, my next choice, my mind immediately goes to The Miz. Yeah. So we're at our top 10 picks. I'm going to go ahead and run these down for everybody in chat. We got about 13 minutes left, so we'll keep going a little bit longer. But just put in chat, who do you guys think has the better roster so far? So I have Rollins, MJF, Bayley, Street Profits, Hangman Page, the Dirty Dogs, AJ Styles, Britt Baker, FTR, and The Miz. Axel has Roman, Omega, Lashley, the Bucks, Sasha Banks, Darby Allin, McIntyre, Bianca Belair, Thunder Rosa, and Randy Orton. So we'll keep going, and it's back to Axel for the next bit. But go ahead and put in chat, just based on the top 10, who do you guys think has the advantage so far?
Street Profits early. Oh. I gotta. You know what? I'm gonna take somebody who's gonna have a big push, in my opinion. I'm really thinking it's gonna happen this year. I'm taking Big E.
It's a good choice. He's having a big year so far. I'm going to go to NXT just right away. I don't think either of us have drafted from NXT yet.
Oh.
And I'm going to go ahead and make my first pick out of NXT, Adam Cole.
That's a respectable pick.
Smith says he's going with you on the best roster so far. Ryan says we're even. Amanda says she's going with you. So it looks like you have the edge so far. Not over yet. Not over yet. Adam Cole gives me a big nix, I think. So, all right, you're up.
Since like you said, we haven't gone to NXT. With my next pick, I'm gonna go with somebody who I asked you, how would you book his title run at this exact moment? I'm going to take Karrion Kross.
And I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm going to give you Scarlett, because I think the character just isn't complete without Scarlett. So I'm going to say if you draft Karrion, you get Scarlett too.
Okay, with manager. All right.
Yeah. Because Scarlett isn't really competing right now. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and jump back to, I got two people in mind. Which way do I want to go? Because I'm afraid I'm going to lose one of them. So I want to make sure I lose the right one. I'm going to go ahead and go back to, actually, I'm going to go into the free agent pool because we don't know what's going on with him right now. I'm going to take Daniel Bryan.
Good old DB. Let's see what happens. With my next pick, I'm going to stay in the SmackDown blue brand. I'm going to have to go with Cesaro.
That was the other one. Damn. I made a choice. I made a gamble. It was between Cesaro and Daniel Bryan. That was my next one. All right. I'm going to go ahead and go back to, let's see. I'm going to go back to NXT. Be
Okay.
an interesting pick, I think. Just he's somebody who I've been super impressed by over the past year or so. I think he's got the look, he's got the mic work, he's got the in-ring work. So I'm gonna, and I don't think he needs to be locked in the cruiserweight division to work either. I'm gonna go with Santos Escobar.
Yes, that is a pick I can respect.
Love me some Santos Escobar, man. I mean, Del Fantasma as a whole, awesome, but I think just for this pick, I'm gonna go with Escobar.
Gotta respect it. So I'm gonna go back to women, and I gotta take somebody from NXT. I gotta take my girl not Rosa Gonzalez.
Yeah, Raquel
Gonzalez.
I feel like that's for you, just based on what I've seen on TikTok and online. That's probably like a more of a personal choice for you, right? Because I like Raquel Gonzalez. I haven't seen as much love for her as I have someone like Io Shirai or what have you.
Yeah, it's some people have their set favorites. They a lot of wrestling fans, they don't like the new.
Right.
Like there's a lot of people complaining with how Charlotte's not in the picture, and I just have to ask, were you not around for the last 3 years? Even with Sasha taking a break right now, thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
Love me some Sasha, but you got to bring in the new product.
Yep. And I like the way that she left too, how she was just in the middle of an interview and she got pissed and walked away, and we haven't seen her since. Because now I can picture Sasha just off somewhere. I can picture her off somewhere just stewing, right? And like just sitting there. And then eventually she's probably going to bust out at Backlash and whoop Bayley and Bianca to the ground. So that'll be nice. All right. My next pick, I've had it typed in for several minutes now. I am going to go back to the women's pool. I'm going to cut a tag team in half, and I'm going to draft Shayna Baszler. Like the single most believable badass in the history of WWE. There have been people who have played badass characters and such. Shayna, I believe, could and would be willing to knock someone's teeth out in a fight. So I love Shayna Baszler. She actually did that. And I don't think she felt any remorse for it.
Of course not.
Like, at all.
To me, she's almost like the female Lesnar. Like they get their opportunity to come into the wrestling business, even though Lesnar was in it, but and they just tend to forget for a second where they are in the ring.
Yep.
And that was just one of the moments.
Yep. I think Shayna should be booked like Brock Lesnar. I really do. And so they started easing that way at the beginning of 2020, right? And then she lost to Becky at the Quiet WrestleMania. Yep. And I wish they would have picked back up, but
didn't win at Money in the Bank. And then after that, the tag team was formed.
Yep. Been with Nia Jax for almost a year now. It's insane.
It really is.
All right, you're up.
My pick. All right. So I'm gonna go over to good old NXT. And I'm gonna take good old Johnny Gargano.
Johnny Wrestling. I know a lot of people think that his heel act is very cheesy, and it is. I love Johnny Gargano's heel act. He's such a fucking slime ball. But it's funny. It's funny to me. I like the way the way is goofy as all hell, but sometimes you just need that kind of thing.
You do, and he's doing good with it right now.
Yep.
In my opinion, I do miss the song though.
Oh yeah, this song could be no one else. Yeah,
and yeah. I've actually been a fan of Austin Theory when he was in the independent scene before he got into WWE. So it's kind of cool seeing him, on there too.
Yeah,
I kind of miss when he was with Seth. That was a little quick thing, but
yeah. I'm gonna go ahead back to AEW. I haven't really drafted a powerhouse yet, and I think I need a powerhouse on my show. So there's one that I'm interested in, really more than anyone else, and it's gonna be a with manager pick here. I'm gonna go Brian Cage with Taz.
Oof.
I'm gonna bring in Brian Cage. And Smith says Shayna's NXT booking was perfect. He's absolutely right. It was absolutely perfect.
Cage with Taz. Getting down to the gritty now.
Yeah, we're through about 15 picks. Do you want to? I'll leave it up to you because we have really time for both. Do you want to go all the way up to 25, or do you just want to go to 20?
We can go to
What
20.
do you think? Go to 20? Okay. All right. So right now we pick number 16 for you.
All right. You know what? I'm going to go a little fun with it. I'm going to go back to tag teams, and I'm going to take the New Day.
So now you've got the entire New Day, but you're taking Kofi and Xavier as one pick.
Yeah.
And you got Big E as your other pick, too. So now you got access to the whole New Day, and you can just throw them
only
back
because they're
together.
separated right now.
Right. Okay. All right. Back to me. I'm going to go back to NXT, and I'm going to take really just one of the best professional wrestlers in the company. Not one of my personal favorites, but someone who I acknowledge as one of the best professional wrestlers in the company or in the world, however you want to say it, Finn Balor. Yep. Got to have him. I was looking at our list when we were talking a second ago, and I was like, oh, shit, neither of us got Balor yet. And I kept quiet because I was like, I'm going to get him, and I'm going to snipe him. So, yeah. All right, pick number 17.
You know what? I'm going to stay in NXT. I'm going to take Tommaso Ciampa.
That's a good one. Is on my short list for my remaining picks as well. Dude is just, and right now he's playing a baby face in this tag team with Toothless Timmy or whatever, which is fine just because, Tommaso and Thatcher versus Imperium just sounds like a shitload of fun. Just sounds like an absolute shitload of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. But when you book Tommaso as a heel in the right way, it's amazing.
It is.
I think I'm going to go back to the women's division one more time. And I'm going to go ahead and take Asuka with my pick number 17. And I think that's going to round out my women's picks, at least for the 20 that we have. So my final women's roster for my top 20 picks is going to be Bayley, Britt Baker, Shayna Baszler, and Asuka.
All right. So I already got this one penciled in. Make it quick. I'm going to have to take Pete Dunne.
Someone I forget about because he hasn't been on TV since TakeOver, except for one little promo, but it's a good pick. All right. So time for my pick number 18. I'm actually going to go to NXT UK and go ahead and snipe Walter. I don't need the rest of Imperium. I mean, they can come if they want, but I'm mostly just interested in Walter. So down to the final two picks for each of us.
And he snagged Walter.
Bum, 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 bum.
You know what? I'm going to go back to the women's division, and I'm going to just take her. Let me double check. All right. Even though I do not care for her, but I love the heel. I love the heel. She gets my attention. I'm going to have to go and take Charlotte.
I mean, Charlotte sells the T-shirt. She gets eyes on the TV screen, so I can't blame you for that one. All right. Down to the nitty-gritty. Damn. I've got like 5 people, and I'm trying to decide how to prioritize. Okay. So back over in AEW, I'm going to go ahead and take, stuff going on outside of the ring, notwithstanding, as long as that gets sorted out, focusing on in-ring stuff only, mic work, recent work, all that. I'm going to go with Sammy Guevara.
Good old Sammy.
And then we're down to pick number 20. So this will be it for the show. Mr. or Mrs. Irrelevant, as you might call it.
And that would be perfect because that's where he is right now. But I got to take a meathead, so I got to take with my last pick. I got to take Braun Strowman.
That's what Amanda Breeze wanted. Commented a moment ago, and so Amanda automatically picks yours as the better one. And you know what, Amanda, you're reading my fucking mind because my pick number 20, Kevin fucking Owens, reading my mind. All right, so let me go ahead and call out my roster, and then I'll let you do the same. And then I'll throw up a TikTok here pretty soon, and you guys will be able to vote on an official poll. So my first 20 picks in my draft, and obviously in a real-world event, there would be more than this, but we worked with the time that we had. So my top 20 picks were Rollins, MJF, Bayley as my first woman, Street Profits as my first tag team, Hangman Page, the Dirty Dog, Ziggler and Rude, AJ Styles, Britt Baker, FTR, The Miz, Adam Cole, Daniel Bryan, Santos Escobar, Shayna Baszler, Brian Cage with Taz, Balor, Asuka, Walter, Sammy Guevara, and KO. Where did you land, Axel?
And on my roster, we have Roman Reigns, Kenny Omega, Bobby Lashley, the Young Bucks, Sasha Banks with my first women's pick. We got Darby Allin, Drew McIntyre, Bianca Belair, Thunder Rosa, Randy Orton, Big E, Karrion Kross with Scarlett, Cesaro, Raquel Gonzalez, Johnny Gargano, The New Day, Tommaso Ciampa, Pete Dunne, Charlotte Flair, and Braun Strowman.
All right. So, guys, again, keep an eye out for that poll. I'll probably go ahead and throw that up this afternoon. You guys can start voting on it. Axel, it's been a great time having you on, man. I really appreciate you. You're one of my one of the wrestling TikTokers I probably look to first, along with Smith. If you're still here, you're one of the first ones I saw on TikTok as well. Yeah, just a lot of them that I could call out, but you two were one of the two of the first ones that caught my eye and got me interested in it. So I appreciate you more than you know. Axel, if you want to call out, give yourself a shout on any of your social media platforms before we get out of here.
All right, everybody, if you want to go give me a follow on TikTok at Axelguzman107, wrestling TikTok, wrestling content every single day. And I appreciate you two for having me on here, man. It's an honor seeing you piss some people off almost every morning, you know?
Speaking of that, if you haven't followed me on TikTok, I'm at Infamous Opinionist. As far as Raw Sports is concerned, you can tune in every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. for the Dump and Chase Hockey Show. You can tune in every Monday and Wednesday at 6 for the fantasy scene, and obviously every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 Central for Wrestling with My Thoughts with me, Jade Lowe, the Infamous Opinionist. It's been a great time here. Enjoy wrestling, guys, this week, maybe except for Raw. It's going to be a great week of wrestling again, maybe except for Raw. So enjoy it. And overall, just one thing I've learned on TikTok this week, my final words for everyone, just be kind to each other, guys. Serious. Have a great week. Have a great week. I'll see you right here next Sunday and every day on TikTok. Bye, guys.